So the threats to Ukraine and the world on the one side have increased after Putin put his country's nuclear assets on alert. That's in response to the sanctions. On the hopeful side, those talks between Russia and Ukrainian officials have begun on the border of Belarus. Well, the Ukrainian Association of South Africa has called on South Africa and the international community to stop Russia's attack on Ukraine. To discuss, we're joined by the president of the Ukrainian Association of South Africa, Olesya Loubser. Ms. Loubser, thank you for being with us. Firstly, I'm interested, do you know roughly how many Ukrainians are living in South Africa? And do you have ties with people living in Ukraine? Can you give us any insight to what they're going through, into what they're going through right now?
Good afternoon to everybody. Yes, we have a formal number of Ukrainians living in South Africa and a number about 6,000. We don't know all about them, but we unite Ukrainians who are living in South Africa in different cities, and we put our effort in uniting and promoting Ukrainian culture. Previously, it was more humanitarian efforts, and now obviously we have some efforts in political sphere as well. Regarding my ties to Ukraine, yes, of course, I have my whole family in Ukraine. We stay in Western Ukraine, so there it's not as bad as in Eastern Ukraine or Kharkiv or Kiev. Situation is very dramatic. Obviously, there is shelling. People are spending nights in bomb shelters. It's devastating and scary. At the same time, people show big courage and they take weapons and go to protect their motherland. So there is all kinds of situations. And obviously what you're showing now is a big humanitarian crisis all over Ukraine. A lot of people are displaced and tried to escape these situations, circumstances, to cross the border, or otherwise they are moving to the western part of Ukraine.
All right, and then you've called for action. Some commentators have suggested there's not much that South Africa can do given our position in the world. Maybe the president could help NATO as a mediator. That has been suggested. What's your view of how South Africa could be involved?
Well, South Africa has very strong ties with Russia through BRICS, and obviously we feel that those instruments can be used to put pressure on Russia to perhaps withdraw from Ukraine or to come some kind of conclusion to cease the fire. So a lot of instruments can be used, but we don't see the will from South African government to be actively involved in that crisis.
In fact, there have been a few conflicting statements. So let's just look at it. Government released a statement on Friday calling for Russia to respect the sovereignty of Ukraine. Over the weekend, there were reports that the president is unhappy with that statement because that's not South African policy. Then we saw the ANC issuing a statement saying only that it's concerned by the escalating violence, and it called on both sides to resume talks. So that was a much more neutral statement. Within government, there seems to be disagreement. Certainly the government and the governing party are not singing off the same hymn sheet. Are you disappointed?
Obviously, yes, we are disappointed, and we would like to see more stand on that crisis, absolutely. And obviously, as Ukrainian citizens, we would like our country and our citizens to be protected, and to live in peace. So absolutely. We saw a recent statement from Western Cape provincial government. I'm not sure if it's confirmed that they will be no longer standing aside and watching indifferently, and they will be illuminating their building tonight in yellow and blue colors to support Ukraine. And those colors are colors of our flag. Yeah. So I hope this information is verified.
Is it understandable to you, though, if government doesn't want to speak too loudly, because it could be a broker, perhaps the president could be used in negotiations, and he doesn't want to completely sever ties with Russia? Would that be understandable to you at all?
Well, it would be understandable, but in any position, one can take active stance, and if one take active stance, then one can find the solution for any situation. So we do not see, active stance and active support and desire of South African government to assist to dissolve the conflict.
Finally, you say you have family in the west of Ukraine. I'm interested to know your view on what's happening in the east. And I don't know if you heard, but the Russian ambassador to the UN was saying that Russia is responding to the shelling and sabotage and the violence against the people of Donetsk and Luhansk, saying that Russia is going in to protect them. Do you think they need protection?
Well, I cannot comment on such a big political issue. Obviously, each side has its own story. What I know that my whole country is under attack now. Obviously, there was pending conflict there for a while, and that was not resolved. So there were issues, but there are always ways to solve those issues. And obviously, I believe in peaceful solutions.
Finally, are you hopeful? Russia apparently had some setbacks going in, but it has many resources. It can keep on sending in the troops. Are you hopeful that your country will get through this?
We are absolutely hopeful. Our spirit is strong. As you can see, Ukraine is not a big country, but is putting fight to Russia. And obviously, we have support of other countries. And obviously, we are very hopeful. And main thing, we are hopeful for peace. And currently, negotiations are happening between Ukraine and Russia. And we hope they will be productive and will bring peace and perhaps new reality. Well, we will be living in new reality anyway from Thursday, and not only Ukrainians. I think the whole world will be. This conflict changed the whole world even more than coronavirus did.
Yeah, and very suddenly. Thank you for your time tonight. That was the president of the Ukrainian Association of South Africa, Olesya Loubser.